Today we're covering 4 attacks in 3 different continents, 2 chilling Indonesian attacks, then a USA Florida gator attacking a teenage boy, and we'll be ending in a bizarre story, a South African attack in a swimming pool. So stick around. Hello, welcome back to Teeth and Water. I'm Matic, we're covering crocodilian stories. Let's start with the first one in Talise Beach, which is central Sulawesi, Palu, Indonesia, so Asia. And the date of the attack is 27 of March 2025. It's early morning, 7:15 a.m. Sadar Winata is 51-year-old male, and he is doing some swimming on the beach a few tens of yards away or meters away. So it doesn't say what's the depth of the water, but I would say it's probably not, you couldn't stand in that part. And he was fully clothed when he was seen in the water. Now, witnesses say they saw him swimming and he was like submerging and swimming when they observed a large reptile, salty, approaching this gentleman, and this was actually a very, very clear weather and very clear visibility in the water. He did not hear them, and he was not, reacting to the shouts and alarmed witnesses. The witness say this reptile did a beeline towards him, and in a few seconds it reached him and grabbed him by the torso and started thrashing him violently. Did a death roll. That's immediately a bad sign for the victim, and this is a sign of a true aggression and predation when the crocodile is doing the death roll. So it was over in a few seconds. They just saw a crocodile dragging this poor man on the surface of the water. They lost the visual. Now the local police got a call from the witnesses probably about 8 a.m., so 45 minutes after the incident, and they utilized and launched a thermal drone. So that drone got in the air and they locate this animal with this poor man in the jaws of the reptile. He was motionless. The crocodiles got him by the torso. His face was turned down, so the police already knew that he was deceased and they wanted to retrieve the body. So they launched the boats, and the crocodile didn't let go until they shot the crocodile. So I don't know. It doesn't say in multiple articles, it doesn't say if the crocodile was actually killed. It just said that they shoot the crocodile and then it let go of the body and they retrieved the body. So they brought him back to the local hospital for post-mortem exam and find multiple deep puncture wounds and massive internal trauma from the thrashing probably. And he was, fatally wounded. Predation, definitely. Now, what went wrong? He entered the known habitat of estuarine crocodiles, the most dangerous and prevalent reptile there in Indonesia. It's known, very known predator. He was also clothed. I don't know if we have all the details, and it was windy. Conditions were not so great. He didn't hear witnesses. I don't know how far out also he was. So now we move on to another Indonesian attack in a very different circumstances. And for the second case, we stay in Indonesia, South Sulawesi now, tourist attraction called Simmery Dairyland. And the date of the attack is 18 of February 2025. So again, last year. It's evening, nighttime. And we have grandfather, elderly man, doesn't say the age, doesn't say the occupation of this gentleman. Just the pre-context is they had a flood in that area on 12th of February. So this is 6 days after the flood. In the meantime, they called up a 3.5 or 4 meter, about 4 meter saltwater crocodile. So this crocodile was kept in a small temporary enclosure. I would say just a few feet from the crocodile. Doesn't have much space. And, as I say, the crocodile was quite large. Adult male, it said, 3.5 to 4 meter. And in this particular day, 18th of February, they were all kind of standing and close to this crocodile. I think they were feeding them, and one particular, this grandfather was sitting really close to his head. He was really kind of relaxed, kind of complacent. Of course, the crocodile didn't show any sudden movements, but that's the reptile. He was sitting still, and when he tried to, in some cases said, try to give him food, but as I saw was he was trying to pet him with his right hand, and that's triggered that crocodile, and it grabbed him. I would say it flung him, trash side to side. This poor grandfather was thrown in the air. Legs were basically did a somersault, and also the pole with the light destroyed. So it was immediately pitch black. But you can still saw people help this man and drag him away. Crocodile was again inside the enclosure. Didn't do pretty much after that, but just a crazy situation. I don't know what they were thinking to be so close to that. I mean, especially this gentleman that was so close to this crocodile. Suppose they thought it was tame, but you can't tame a wild animal like that, especially after 6 days. Nonetheless, it was a non-fatal attack. It was a defensive on a crocodile. He was caught, and this was a wild male. Wildlife said that this male had a female nesting around, so that's why he was, of course, quite aggressive. But I would not say, even if it was in a wild, that was a predation, because it didn't do a death roll, just a quick trash. But that large predator doing that quick trash is a power. I will post a link below. It's just amazing video to see what kind of power they can produce and generate in just a few split of a second. So he was rushed to hospital, major puncture wounds, arm. It doesn't say it was so damaged that it was maybe amputated, but I think he had some serious injuries. Also, probably some shoulder, because I couldn't imagine if that crocodile, he was in the air, his legs were dangling in the air in that split second. That's all for this case. Defensive, non-fatal attack, an enclosed one, not an official attack. But interesting story. And let's go to our third story in USA, Florida. So for our third case, we go to Collier County. That is Florida, USA. The local watering hole called the Crystal. And the date is 11th of July, 2010. Time, 9:30 p.m. Pitch black, darkness. Tim Delano is 18-year-old teenager. And he decided to go swimming in that creek. Nighttime, as I say, he was swimming, and suddenly something struck his left hand. At first, he didn't know what it was. He just thought it was a bad nightmare. But when he realized it was a gator, a 10-footer that was hanging on his left hand, he started, smacking, punching this gator on the snout. He heard the cracking sounds. That's probably when this lower forearm start giving away. Then this alligator did a death roll and did leave Tim with a severed or amputated hand. When that gator took his hand, Tim saw his injuries, and he was terrified, of course. Went to the bank. Two companions helped him to a gas station when they waited for the airlift to this hospital, where they performed some surgeries on him. He survived. As for the gator's behavior, I would say that was a predation attempt on Delano. And when they caught this gator, it was a 10-footer. Upon dissection, they recovered the hand of Tim. They flown to Lee Memorial Hospital and tried to attach it, but it was unsuccessful, because he had some major ulnar radial bone damage, and they couldn't really attach it. So non-fatal. Predator nature by American alligator. And let's go to our last case in South Africa. And for fourth and last case, we go to South Africa, Makutsi Safari Springs, Karongwe Conservancy near Dzanene. The date is 18th of February 2008, Monday. The time is 5 p.m. Anke Putkamer, she is 8-year-old girl, and she is at this safari lodge with some of the parents, a grandfather, and some other children. It's a beautiful lodge, and it has a swimming pool, a large swimming pool, and the kids went in and jump into the water, start splashing, and have a good time. Then one adult saw a crocodile going from the bushes into that swimming pool. Anke jumped into that water, and the crocodile intercepted her underwater, grabbing her on the upper thigh. Two adults immediately jumped in. One family member helped this girl and lift her head above the surface so she would not drown. And grandfather started battling, fighting the crocodile, gouging its eyes. And when it gouged one eye, that crocodile turned and clamped on his hand. And then father again gouged the other eye. So it released the grandfather. Crocodile departed out of the swimming pool. They were both helped to get out of the pool, and they sustained some injuries. Anke, the girl, got 60 stitches, and the grandfather apparently had some injuries on the hand. And it was a 2.08 meter crocodile. Nile crocodile, it said, that got kilometers from the first river there to that spring. So it was a strange attack. They apparently didn't account that crocodiles could cover that kind of kilometers on land, but it was a clear reminder that they could. So just an interesting non-fatal attack by an old crocodile, a smaller one. So we're talking about 7 feet, and it did some damage. They're aggressive and fast. These Nile crocodiles are so fast. They don't have so much endurance, but they are so explosive and fast, and they can do major damage in a split seconds. Now, what went wrong in that last case? I would say the owners of that safari lodge with that pool didn't account for the crocodiles to cover so much land and end up in that place. So they are not using all safety measures. I don't know if it's private or public, so I can't really say, but then kids splashing, and that attracted that crocodile. So just unfortunate event, but it ended quite lucky, I would say. No fatalities, clearly a good lesson. So that's all 4 stories for this episode. Again, thank you so much for the replies and likes. I really appreciate it to give so much traction this channel, a small channel nonetheless. I really enjoy it doing this, and I will be doing weekly. I see you in the next week. Take care, guys.